The crystal chandelier sparkled above Zara's head as she carefully arranged white roses in the silver vases. Each flower had to be perfect. Each petal had to face the right direction. That's what they paid for at the Grandview Estate Hotel, 20-3 years old. And she had been doing this job for 2 years now. Some people looked down on housekeeping work, but Zara didn't mind it. The pay was decent, the hours were flexible, and most importantly, every paycheck brought her closer to her dream. Culinary school. She had exactly $8,000 saved so far. Only $4,000 more to go. She stepped back to admire her work. The bridal suite looked like something out of a fairy tale. White and gold everything. Silk curtains that probably cost more than her monthly rent. A bed so big you could fit 5 people on it tomorrow morning. Some wealthy couple would get married in the hotel's garden, and this would be their room. Zara didn't know much about them, only that the wedding had cost more than most people made in a year. Her supervisor, Mrs. Chun, had stressed that everything needed to be perfect. The bride is very particular, Mrs. Chun had said that morning. One mistake and she has someone's job. Zara checked her watch. 3 o'clock. The wedding wasn't until tomorrow at noon, but she liked to finish early. She was adjusting the angle of a rose when she heard voices in the hallway. Loud voices. Laughing. The door burst open. 5 women walked in, all dressed in expensive clothes. Designer handbags. Shoes that cost more than Zara's entire wardrobe. Hair and makeup already done perfectly. The woman in front was tall, blonde, and beautiful in that sharp, cold way. Like a diamond. Pretty to look at, but hard. Her eyes swept over the room, then landed on Zara. "Oh," she said, her voice dripping with annoyance. "The help is still here." Zara straightened up. "I'm almost finished, ma'am. Just putting the final touches on the flowers." "Well, hurry up," the blonde woman said. The other women followed, giggling and whispering. "We wanted to see the suite before tomorrow. Of course." Zara started gathering her supplies. "I'll be out of your way in just a moment." One of the other women pointed at the flowers. "Vanessa, look at these. Aren't they gorgeous?" So the blonde woman was Vanessa, the bride. She looked exactly like the type who would have a wedding at the Grandview Estate Hotel. Money, beauty, and an air of superiority you could feel from across the room. Vanessa walked over to the flowers, tilting her head. "They're acceptable, though I specifically asked for the roses to face outward. These are all wrong." Zara blinked. She had spent 20 minutes making sure every single rose faced outward. "Ma'am, I assure you, they're positioned exactly as requested. Are you arguing with me?" Vanessa's voice went cold. "Do you know who I am?" "You're the bride, ma'am. And I'm not arguing. You're just a maid," Vanessa interrupted. She turned to her friends with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Can you believe this? The help thinks she knows better than me." The women laughed. Mean laughter. The kind that made Zara's stomach twist. "I apologize if there was any confusion," Zara said, keeping her voice steady. Professional. Mrs. Chun had taught her that. No matter how rude a guest was, you stayed professional. "I can adjust them however you'd like. However I'd like." Vanessa stepped closer. She was taller than Zara, and she used that height to look down at her. "What I'd like is for the staff to do their jobs correctly the first time. But I suppose that's too much to ask from someone like you." Someone like you. The words hung in the air. One of the bridesmaids, a brunette with too much perfume on, giggled. "Vanessa, be nice. She's probably doing her best." "Her best clearly isn't very good," Vanessa said. She walked around the room, running her finger along surfaces, inspecting everything like a general inspecting troops. "Look at this." There's a wrinkle in the bedspread. Zara looked. There was no wrinkle. The bedspread was perfectly smooth. She had ironed it herself that morning. And these curtains, Vanessa continued, they're not hanging evenly. They were hanging evenly. Zara had measured them twice. I'll fix everything right away, Zara said quietly. Will you? Vanessa turned back to her. Because honestly, I'm starting to wonder if you're capable of fixing anything. Tell me, how long have you been working here? A few months? 2 years, ma'am. 2 years, and you still can't arrange flowers properly? Vanessa shook her head. What do you do with your time? Surely you have bigger ambitions than being a lowly maid. There it was. Lowly maid. Said with such contempt, such disgust, like Zara was something dirty on the bottom of her shoe. I'm saving for culinary school, Zara said, before she could stop herself. She didn't know why she said it. Maybe because she wanted this awful woman to see her as a person. Someone with dreams. Someone with a future. The bridesmaids exchanged glances. One of them smirked. Vanessa laughed. Actually laughed. Culinary school? Oh, that's precious. And what? You'll become a chef? Open your own restaurant? That's the plan, Zara said, lifting her chin slightly. Let me give you some advice, sweetheart, Vanessa said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. People like you don't become chefs. You might get a job cooking at some diner somewhere, sure. But a real chef? That requires talent, education, connections. Things you clearly don't have. The words stung more than Zara wanted to admit. She had heard this kind of thing before, of course. People who looked at her and saw only a maid. People who couldn't imagine that she might be more than her current job. But hearing it said so directly, so cruelly, still hurt. Now, Vanessa continued, I want you to redo all of these flowers. And the bed. And check those curtains. In fact, I want everything in this room redone. Can you manage that? Or do I need to speak to your supervisor about finding someone more competent? I can handle it, Zara said. Good. Vanessa turned away, dismissing her. She started talking to her friends about the wedding dress, about the menu, about how perfect everything was going to be. Zara started removing the flowers from the vases, her hands shaking slightly. Not from fear, from anger, from humiliation. But she kept her face neutral. Professional. Then Vanessa did something that made Zara's blood boil. She walked past the table where Zara had set up the flowers and, with what looked like a deliberate movement, knocked over one of the vases with her elbow. Water and roses spilled across the expensive carpet. Oh no, Vanessa said, her voice completely flat. Fake concern. Look what happened. The maid left the vase too close to the edge. She looked at Zara with cold eyes. You'll need to clean that up. And if there's a stain on this carpet, I'll make sure it comes out of your paycheck. This hotel should really be more careful about who they hire. The bridesmaids were trying not to laugh. Zara could see them biting their lips, exchanging gleeful glances. Zara knelt down and started picking up the flowers, soaking her hands in the cold water. She didn't say anything. What could she say? This woman had already decided who Zara was, what she was worth. Nothing Zara said would change that. Come on, girls, Vanessa said. Let's go get drinks. I can't stand the smell of cheap cleaning products. She paused at the door. Have this cleaned up in 20 minutes. And do it right this time. They left in a cloud of expensive perfume and cruel laughter. Zara stayed kneeling on the floor. Water soaking into her uniform pants, roses scattered around her like casualties of war. Her eyes burned, but she didn't cry. She wouldn't give that woman the satisfaction, even if she wasn't there to see it. Instead, she took a deep breath, stood up, and went to get towels and carpet cleaner. She had work to do. And tomorrow, Vanessa Sterling would have her perfect wedding in her perfect suite. And she would never think about the lowly maid again. At least. That's what Zara thought. It took Zara 40 minutes to clean up the mess and redo everything in the bridal suite. When she finally finished, the room looked perfect again. But she knew Vanessa would probably find something else to complain about tomorrow. She gathered her cleaning supplies and headed downstairs. The hotel was busy tonight. A corporate event in the ballroom. A retirement party in the garden pavilion. "Zara, you okay?" It was Tommy, one of the other housekeepers. "You look upset." "I'm fine," Zara said, managing a smile. "Just a difficult guest. The bride?" Tommy made a face. "Yeah, I heard." "Hang in there. After tomorrow, she'd be someone else's problem." Zara nodded and kept walking. She dropped off her supplies, clocked out, and was heading toward the exit when Mrs. Chun called her name. "Zara, wait a moment." Zara's heart sank. Had Vanessa already called to complain? Mrs. Chun walked over. The bride called down to the front desk. She said the bridal suite looks beautiful. Perfect, actually. She wanted to make sure whoever prepared it gets recognized. Zara blinked. "What? I know. I was surprised too." Apparently, she took another look and was very impressed. "So, good job." "Thank you," Zara managed. Zara left the hotel in a daze. The compliment should have made her feel better, but somehow it made everything worse. It meant Vanessa knew exactly what she was doing when she insulted Zara. She wasn't just having a bad day. She was someone who understood the value of good work, but still chose to be cruel. The bus ride home took 30 minutes. Zara lived in a small studio apartment. She unlocked her door, kicked off her shoes, and collapsed onto her second-hand couch. Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend, Nina. "How was work?" Zara smiled. Nina always knew how to make her feel better. She ordered takeout, took a long shower, and was settling in to watch a cooking show when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Hello? Hi, is this Zara Williams?" The voice was male, unfamiliar, professional. "Yes, this is she." "Who's calling?" "This is Connor Blake. I'm staying at the Grandview Estate Hotel, and I was wondering if you might have a few minutes to talk." Zara sat up straight. Connor Blake, the groom. Why was the groom calling her? Sure. Is everything okay with the bridal suite?" "The suite?" "Oh, yes, everything's fine. Actually, I'm calling about something else." He paused. "This might sound strange, but I saw you leaving the hotel earlier. I know this is weird, but did you grow up in Riverside? On Maple Street?" Zara's breath caught. Riverside. Maple Street. She hadn't lived there in 12 years. But before that, yes, she had grown up on Maple Street in a small blue house with a tree swing in the front yard. "I did," she said slowly. "Why?" "Because I think we used to be friends. When we were kids. I'm Connor. We used to ride bikes together, and you had a dog named Biscuit. And we pretended we were running a restaurant in your backyard." Zara's hand went to her mouth. Connor. Little Connor. From down the street with the gap in his teeth and the superhero backpack. They had been inseparable from ages 7 to 11 until his family moved away. They promised to stay friends, but the way kids do, they lost touch. "Oh my God," Zara whispered. "Connor, is it really you?" "It's really me." She could hear the smile in his voice. "I can't believe I found you. I've been looking for you on social media for years. I used my stepdad's last name online," Zara explained. "Wilson. That's why you couldn't find me." "That explains it." "This is crazy. Are you free right now? Can we meet for coffee?" "I just got home and I look terrible," Zara said, then laughed. "I can't believe this. You're the groom? Getting married tomorrow?" "Yeah." His voice changed slightly. "Tomorrow at noon." "Congratulations," Zara said, though something in her chest felt heavy. That's wonderful. Thanks. But listen, I really want to see you. Even just for coffee. It's been 12 years, please? Zara looked down at her sweatpants. She should say no. But this was Connor, her first real friend. There's a coffee shop on 5th Street, she said. Brewhaven. Do you know it? I'll find it. 30 minutes? Make it 45. I need to make myself look human. He laughed. See you soon. After he hung up, Zara sat there for a moment, phone in her hand, trying to process what just happened. Connor Blake, her childhood best friend. The boy who once told her she made the best pretend sandwiches in the world and that one day she'd have a real restaurant and he'd be her first customer. And tomorrow he was marrying Vanessa, the woman who had called her a lowly maid, who had mocked her dreams, who had deliberately humiliated her. Zara got up and went to her closet. She pulled out her nicest jeans and a sweater that didn't have any stains. As she got dressed, she told herself this was just two old friends catching up. Nothing more. Connor was getting married tomorrow. To someone awful, apparently, but that wasn't her business. She did her makeup quickly, pulled her hair into a neat ponytail, and grabbed her jacket. The bus to 5th Street took 15 minutes. She got there early and waited outside Brewhaven, her stomach doing nervous flips. A black car pulled up and Connor stepped out. Zara would have recognized him anywhere. He was taller now, obviously. Broader shoulders. The gap in his teeth was gone, probably fixed with braces. He wore an expensive suit, the kind that screamed money. But his eyes were the same. Warm brown eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. And he was smiling at her like she was the best thing he'd seen all day. Zara, he said, and pulled her into a hug. She hugged him back. And for a moment, she was 11 years old again, saying goodbye to her best friend, promising they'd never forget each other. You look exactly the same, Connor said, pulling back to look at her face. I mean older, but the same. Does that make sense? You look completely different, Zara said, laughing, but also the same. This is so weird. The weirdest. Come on, let's get coffee. I want to hear everything. Where you've been, what you've been doing, all of it. They went inside and ordered. Connor insisted on paying. They found a table in the corner, away from the other customers, and for the next hour, they talked. Connor told her about college, about studying business, about working with his father's company, and eventually branching out on his own in real estate development. He told her about losing his mother to cancer 5 years ago. And Zara saw real pain in his eyes when he talked about it. Zara told him about her mom's remarriage, about community college, about having to drop out to work when money got tight. She told him about the Grandview Estate Hotel, about saving for a culinary school. You're still cooking, Connor said, his face lighting up. Remember our restaurant? You made mud pies and called them chocolate souffle. And you were the worst waiter. You kept dropping the plates. They were frisbees. It wasn't my fault they were slippery. They laughed, and it felt so natural, so easy. Like no time had passed at all. Then Connor's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his smile faded slightly. That's Vanessa, my fiancée. She's wondering where I am. Vanessa. The name hung between them like a dark cloud. You should probably get back, Zara said. Big day tomorrow. Yeah, but he didn't move. Zara, I know this is forward, but after the wedding, after the honeymoon, I'd love to stay in touch. Maybe we could do this again? I'd like that, Zara said softly. They stood up to leave. Connor hugged her again at the door. I'm really glad I found you, he said. Me too. As Zara watched him drive away, she felt a strange mix of happiness and sadness. She had her friend back. But tomorrow he was marrying a woman who had treated her like garbage. And something about that felt terribly, terribly wrong. Connor drove back to the hotel with a smile he couldn't shake. Seeing Zara again felt like finding a piece of himself he didn't know was missing. He headed up to his suite. Vanessa was there, scrolling through wedding photos on her phone. "Where were you?" she asked without looking up. "I ran into an old friend. Someone I haven't seen in 12 years. Did you confirm with the photographer?" "Vanessa, did you hear what I said? I found my childhood best friend." Finally, Vanessa looked up. "That's nice. Where does he live now?" And she works here. At the hotel. Something flickered across Vanessa's face. "She works here? Doing what?" "Housekeeping. She's saving for culinary school. We used to pretend to run a restaurant when we were kids." Vanessa's expression changed. "What's her name?" "Zara. Zara Williams. Why?" Vanessa walked to the window. "No reason. Just curious." "So you met up with her? Tonight? The night before our wedding?" "We got coffee. We're old friends. And you didn't think that was inappropriate?" Connor laughed, thinking she was joking. But Vanessa's face was serious. "Vanessa, she's my friend from childhood. If you say so. I'm going to bed. Big day tomorrow." She went into the bedroom and closed the door. Connor sat there, confused. But sitting there alone, he realized he'd felt more alive talking to Zara for 1 hour than he had in months with Vanessa. Inside the bedroom, Vanessa paced. Zara Williams, the maid, the one she had humiliated. And now Connor was calling her his childhood best friend? Vanessa pulled out her phone and called her friend Tiffany. "Tell me everything that happened when we went to see the bridal suite." "What?" "It's almost midnight. The maid who was there? What exactly did I say to her?" Tiffany sighed. "You called her incompetent. You said she was just a maid. You mocked her culinary school dreams. You knocked over a vase and blamed her. Why?" Vanessa closed her eyes. "That maid is Connor's childhood best friend. They met up tonight." "Oh no, Ma. If he finds out, we're getting married tomorrow," Vanessa said firmly. "I just need to make sure he doesn't find out before the ceremony." The next morning, Connor woke up early. He couldn't sleep. Something felt off. He got dressed and decided to take a walk around the hotel grounds. Thought the garden was beautiful in the morning light. White chairs were set up in rows. The arch where they would say their vows was covered in flowers. Beautiful, isn't it? Connor turned. Zara was standing there in her work uniform, holding a clipboard. "Zara, I didn't expect to see you this morning." "I'm on the wedding crew," she said with a small smile, "making sure everything runs smoothly." "Congratulations again." "Yeah, it's really happening." Something in his voice made Zara look at him more carefully. "You okay? You seem nervous. Just the usual pre-wedding jitters, I think." Connor sat down on one of the chairs. "Can I ask you something? As my oldest friend?" Zara sat down next to him. "Of course. How do you know if you're making the right decision? With anything big in life?" Zara was quiet for a moment. "I think you know it's right when the decision makes you feel more like yourself, not less. When it opens up possibilities instead of closing them down." "Why? Are you having doubts?" Connor started to answer, then stopped. What was he doing? Confessing his doubts to Zara hours before marrying Vanessa? "Never mind," he said. "Just nerves. Thanks for listening. I'm really glad we reconnected." "Me too," Zara said softly. Then Zara's radio crackled. Someone was calling her about a problem with the catering. "I have to go," she said. "But Connor, I hope you're happy. You deserve to be happy." She walked away before he could respond. Connor sat there watching the sunrise, Zara's words echoing in his head. You deserve to be happy. Did he feel happy? Or was he just doing what everyone expected? Later that morning, Connor was getting ready when Vanessa called. They weren't supposed to see each other before the ceremony. "Hey," he answered. "Everything okay? I need to talk to you about something. About your friend. The maid." Connor's stomach dropped. "What about her?" "I just think it's weird that you're spending time with another woman right before our wedding." "Vanessa, she's my childhood friend. There's nothing weird about it." "Then why didn't you tell me about her before?" "I just found her yesterday." There was nothing to tell before that. There was a pause. "Look, maybe you should keep your distance from her. At least until after the wedding." Something clicked in Connor's brain. "Have you met Zara?" "Before yesterday, I mean?" "Why would I have met your maid friend?" The way she said maid friend set off alarm bells. "Vanessa, have you met her or not?" "I meet a lot of staff at hotels. I don't remember everyone's name." Connor's jaw clenched. "So you might have met her when you came to see the bridal suite yesterday?" Silence on the other end. "Vanessa, what happened when you saw the bridal suite?" "Nothing happened. The room was fine. Beautiful, actually. I even called down to compliment whoever set it up." "But what happened when you first got there? Was Zara there?" "I don't remember. There might have been some maid finishing up." "Connor, why does this matter?" "We're getting married in 3 hours." But Connor was already thinking about how uncomfortable Zara had been when he mentioned the wedding. How she'd said she had an interesting encounter with the bride. How Vanessa was acting so weird. "I need to go," Connor said. "I'll see you at the ceremony." He hung up. His hands were shaking. Something had happened between Vanessa and Zara. Something Vanessa didn't want him to know about. He needed to find Zara. He needed to know the truth. Connor found her in the service hallway, directing some catering staff. When she saw him, her eyes widened. "Connor, you're supposed to be getting ready. I need to talk to you. Privately, please." Zara looked around, then led him into an empty conference room. "What's wrong?" she asked. "I need you to be honest with me. Completely honest. What happened yesterday when Vanessa came to see the bridal suite? And don't say nothing. I know something happened." Zara's face changed. She looked down at her hands. "Connor, it's your wedding day. You don't need to worry about Zara, please. You're my oldest friend. Maybe my only real friend. Just tell me the truth." So she did. She told him everything. How Vanessa had insulted her work. How she'd called her just a lowly maid. How she'd mocked Zara's dreams of culinary school. How she'd deliberately knocked over the vase and blamed Zara for it. How she'd threatened to get Zara fired. With every word, Connor felt something inside him breaking. Or maybe it was something finally becoming clear. "Why didn't you tell me last night?" Connor asked quietly. "Because it's your wedding day. Because you seemed happy. Because I'm just a maid, and she's going to be your wife. And who am I to get in the way of that?" "You're not just a maid," Connor said, his voice sharp. "Don't ever call yourself that. You're my friend. You're someone with dreams and talent and kindness. And Vanessa had no right to treat you that way." Zara looked up at him, tears in her eyes. "What are you going to do?" Connor stood up. He looked at his watch. 2 hours until the ceremony. 2 hours until he married a woman who could be cruel to someone who couldn't fight back. Who looked down on people she considered beneath her. Who lied to him about what happened. "I'm going to do what I should have done a long time ago," Connor said. "I'm going to make a choice that makes me feel more like myself." He walked out of the conference room, leaving Zara sitting there, wondering what she had just set in motion. Connor walked straight to Vanessa's suite. His heart was pounding, but his mind was clear. Clearer than it had been in months. He knocked on the door. One of Vanessa's bridesmaids answered, already in her dress. "Connor, you're not supposed to see the bride before the ceremony. I need to talk to Vanessa, now." The bridesmaid's smile faded. Okay. Let me get her. Vanessa appeared in a white robe, her hair in curlers. Connor, what are you doing here? We have less than 2 hours. We need to talk, alone. Vanessa looked at her bridesmaids. Girls, can you give us a minute? They filed out, whispering. When the door closed, Vanessa turned to Connor. What's so urgent that you had to? I know what you did to Zara. Vanessa's smile froze. What? Yesterday. In the bridal suite. I know what you said to her. How you treated her. Vanessa looked like she might deny it. Then her expression hardened. She told you. I asked her directly. She didn't want to tell me. She tried to protect you, protect this wedding, even after everything you said to her. Vanessa crossed her arms. Okay, fine. I wasn't exactly friendly. But Connor, she was doing a terrible job. The flowers were wrong. Stop lying. Connor's voice was quiet but firm. I saw the suite after you left. It was perfect. You even called down to compliment it. You knew she did excellent work. You were just cruel for the sake of being cruel. Vanessa's jaw tightened. So what? She's a maid, Connor. I was having a stressful day. I said some things. It's not the end of the world. You called her just a lowly maid. You mocked her dreams. You deliberately broke a vase and blamed her. You threatened her job. Connor shook his head. And the worst part is, you're not even sorry. Oh, come on. Don't be so dramatic. People in service jobs deal with difficult clients all the time. Being treated like garbage is not part of anyone's job, Vanessa. Fine. Vanessa threw up her hands. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I hurt your friend's feelings. There? Happy? Can we move on? Our guests are arriving in an hour. Connor looked at her. Really looked at her. You don't get it. This isn't about Zara's feelings. This is about who you are. About how you treat people when you think it doesn't matter. What's that supposed to mean? It means I can't marry someone who thinks other people are beneath them. Vanessa's eyes went wide. You're not serious. I've never been more serious. Connor, we're getting married in 90 minutes. Everyone's here. Do you have any idea how much this cost? I'll pay for everything. But I'm not going through with this. Vanessa's shock turned to anger. You're going to humiliate me? Publicly? Because of some maid? This has nothing to do with Zara. This has to do with me realizing I was about to make the biggest mistake of my life. Really? And when did you have this revelation? Before or after you reconnected with your childhood sweetheart? Don't make this about her. Why not? It's true, isn't it? Vanessa, this isn't about choosing her over you. This is about realizing that the person I was about to marry doesn't share my values. Vanessa stared at him. Then she laughed bitterly. You're going to regret this. My father is one of your biggest investors. This is going to destroy your business. Then it destroys it. I'd rather lose money than lose myself. You're a fool, Vanessa hissed. That girl is never going to be anything more than a maid. And you're throwing away everything for what? Some misplaced sense of morality? Connor felt certainty settle in his chest. Thank you for showing me exactly who you are. He turned to leave. Connor, wait. Vanessa's voice changed, became softer. I'm sorry. Really sorry. I can apologize to her. I can change. Please don't do this. Connor looked back. Vanessa, people who want to change don't wait until they're caught to feel sorry. You're not sorry you hurt Zara. You're sorry I found out. He walked out in the hallway. The bridesmaids stared at him with wide eyes. Is someone going to tell the guests? One asked quietly. I will, Connor said. It's my responsibility. He walked downstairs to the garden where guests were arriving. His parents were near the front, talking to family friends. When they saw Connor, their faces lit up. There's the groom. His father said, Getting nervous? Dad, Mom, I need to talk to you, privately. Something in his face made them follow him without question. They walked to a quiet corner. I'm calling off the wedding, Connor said. His mother gasped. His father's face went red. You're what? His father demanded. Connor, this is not the time for cold feet. Everyone's here. Do you have any idea? I know exactly what I'm doing. And I know it's going to cause problems. But I can't marry someone I don't respect. Someone whose values are completely opposite to mine. What are you talking about? His mother asked. Vanessa comes from a good family. She's cruel to people she thinks are beneath her. And when I confronted her, she wasn't sorry. She was just sorry she got caught. His father started to argue, but his mother put a hand on his arm. She looked at Connor carefully. You sure about this? She asked. Really sure? I've never been more sure of anything. She nodded slowly. Then we'll support you. Your father and I, we didn't have a perfect marriage at first. But the one thing we always had was respect. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. Helen, his father protested. No, Arthur. He's right. I never liked how Vanessa talked about the staff. She looked at Connor. What do you need us to do? Help me tell people. Connor's father sighed heavily. This is going to be a disaster. But if you're certain, I am. They walked back to the garden. More guests had arrived. The string quartet was playing. Everything looked beautiful and perfect and completely wrong. Connor walked to the microphone. He tapped it, and the music stopped. Everyone turned to look at him. Ladies and gentlemen, Connor said, his voice steady. Thank you all for coming today. I know you've traveled from near and far to be here. He paused. The garden was completely silent. However, I need to tell you that there's not going to be a wedding today. Vanessa and I have decided to part ways. I take full responsibility for this decision, and I apologize for any inconvenience. The reception area is still available, and all the food has been prepared. Please stay and enjoy. Again, I'm deeply sorry. The garden erupted in whispers and gasps. Connor saw Vanessa's parents standing near the back, their faces furious. He saw his business partners looking confused, and then he saw Zara, standing at the edge of the garden in her work uniform, her hand over her mouth. Tears streaming down her face. Their eyes met across the crowd. Connor stepped down from the microphone and started walking toward her. People tried to stop him, to ask questions, but he kept walking. When he reached Zara, she was shaking her head. Connor, what did you do? She whispered. What did you just do? Something I should have done a long time ago, he said. I made a choice that makes me feel more like myself. But your wedding, your life, everything wasn't right. None of it was right. And I think I knew that before I even saw you again. You just reminded me of who I used to be, who I want to be. Zara looked around at the chaos, the confused guests, the wedding that wasn't going to happen.